Discovery Invest, a licensed financial services provider. Well, it's not often that we get a couple who walk down the aisle and then decided to jilt each other at the altar in the studio at the same time. But Impala Platinum and Mvela Resources today decided to announce their results to end December, and both chief executives are with us in the studio. We'll talk about the individual companies in a moment. But, David, let's put it on the record now. Why did you jilt Pine, or did he jilt you?
I think in essence, we obviously spent quite a lot of considerable time trying to find a suitable value proposition. I think unfortunately the turmoil in the markets just prevented us finding something that was acceptable to both parties. I mean, we put an offer on the table that Pine chose not to accept, but having said that, that's his prerogative not to accept it. And quite clearly we still believe in the strategic intent of the deal, and the deal that they announced today, we don't necessarily see that necessarily changes the strategic intent of what we actually were attracted to in the first place.
So perhaps at some time in future you might still go courting.
Yeah, I think we're still friends.
I think so.
Mr. Pienaar, were you far apart in your valuations?
At the end, yes. In January we were, but as life goes on, and we're looking forward, and as a company, what is in our control, and that's where the strategic intent that we disclosed today to the market, and I think it was well received.
Well, we're going to talk more about Mvela in just a moment, but let's kick off first with Impala Platinum, being the bigger company, so it gets first time up to bat. Drop in production, and you've really put your cards on the table by saying you want to conserve your cash now, you're reducing your capital expenditure, cut your dividend quite sharply. David, you clearly must be seeing some tough times ahead.
Absolutely. I think the current market environment that we've seen over the last 2 or 3 months is that when we saw the decline in PGM prices at the back end of last calendar year, I don't think we had yet seen the full impact on the real economy. And certainly we've seen that impact come through in the last 2 to 3 months, which effectively gives us an indication that 2009 is definitely going to be a very tough trading year. I think 2010 is going to spill into that year, and we're probably only anticipating some kind of uptick in terms of significant demand towards the back end of 2010.
When you say tough trading, that means platinum prices under pressure.
Absolutely.
There is there's been some life in the platinum price over the last few weeks. Where does that come from?
Well, we think that, if we were to give an indication of price, I know Johnson Matthey gave quite a wide range at their interim statement recently, but we're looking at probably about between $950 and $1,000 an ounce for the rest of 2009 on average. We know it's trading above there, so we look like our forecast is incorrect already. But in reality, we believe there's quite a lot of speculative activity that has climbed into the platinum price in recent times.
Are the speculators doing that or being active there because of the precious metals component? Or
I think there is definitely an element of, shall we say, sympathy with the gold at the moment, and that's quite an interesting correlation that hasn't necessarily been there in the past.
But the reality is platinum is primarily used in the motor sector, and that's under a lot of pressure.
Absolutely. It's always been viewed as a precious industrial metal, and quite clearly I think the precious content is keeping the price at a reasonable level at this point in time. But if one translates that through into the car sales figures that you've seen come through from both America and Western Europe, they've been dreadful. We've seen very sharp decreases, and we've seen deferrals in terms of our customer offtake.
Something from left field, though, and in Davos this year there was a lot of talk about alternative energies, and fuel cells got quite significant play there. That could be something where platinum maybe gets a second wind.
I think fuel cells still remains one of those elusive prizes or holy grails. I mean, when I joined Impala just over 10 years ago, they all told me that fuel cell development and for commercialization was only 5 years away. I asked the marketing team today what that means, and it's still 10 years away today. So I think it's still unfortunately elusive as far as commerciality is concerned.
So as far as you're concerned, you're not banking, but you're planning for a low platinum price, and you're running the business accordingly. What kind of cost levels are you hoping that you'll be able to, per platinum ounce, produce in the next 6 months? Well,
effectively we're at about 8,600 rand per platinum ounce at the moment. If you look at the basket revenue, we're probably 13 to 14,000 rand. So we've got a nice margin, and we've got some cash profitability there. But I think the issue for us is really asking the question, how long does the recession last for? If anyone can give me that answer, then that'll certainly help to put into our planning equation. But the reality is that we have to plan for probably a worst case scenario, which is 18 to 24 months of very tough trading conditions.
Now, I know you're a finance man, so you can probably calculate it very quickly. That rand per ounce translates into what in dollars per ounce?
Dollars are probably about $860, $870.
So you got about $300 margin at the moment.
At the moment, yeah.
Pienaar is also in the studio. Big, dramatic news coming out of you guys today, Pine, and there are conflicting reports. And of course, there was a SENS announcement to say, don't read absolutely what the press speculation has been as fact. But let's start off from the beginning. Is Mvela Resources going to be delisted?
Alec, I need to put everything in context. We went public today with our strategic intent, taking all the realities of the current global economic environment into account that David just now alluded to. Our outlook on platinum is similar for 2009 and 2010. However, gold is, in our mind, the outlook is extremely good for 2009, as people are seeking protection against the uncertainty worldwide.
Let's just, after the Boysendal deal, what's the breakdown at Mvela Resources between gold, platinum, and I know you have a little diamond?
If you take our valuation breakdown today, Goldfields' value is approximately 5.9 billion. We've got debt against it of 2.1 billion. Northam is approximately 5.4 billion against a debt of 2.3 billion, and then we have approximately 600 million cash on the balance sheet and some other smaller assets worth nominal value of 200 million.
So Transex, you don't really the diamond operation.
Its worth today is 37 million.
So it's almost 50-50 platinum gold as a play.
Gold obviously higher.
Said almost 50-50.
Yeah.
So it's
but what we went to the market today is quite logic and to capitalize on the gold premium on the outlook for 2009. We truly believe in the platinum industry in the long term. Use the opportunity of that gold present, restructuring the balance sheet, get rid of debt, instead of just distribute the excess cash as dividends to shareholders, put it into Northam for the development of Boysendal, recapitalizing it, together with all other minority shareholders in Northam, so there's no dilution to any of the Northam shareholders, and then unbundle. And
so you don't need the deal with Impala anymore to develop the Boysendal. That was always the speculation.
That was the speculation. We, if we do what I just proposed on today's prices, Northam will be recapitalized to the extent of 2 billion.
But it also means you're going to be selling those Goldfield shares.
That's definitely the case, that in the coming year we intend to dispose of the Goldfield shares and capitalize on the gold premium.
Do you have a buyer in mind?
No, I mean, obviously the liquidity of Goldfields is quite good. We are focused on the 17th of March. We refund the 2.1 billion, and then the strategy of disposing of the 50 million shares. We are not in a rush to dispose of it. It will be ordinary fashion of disposal during the year.
So Mvela's, if I understand correctly, you're getting out of gold, using the advantage of the strong gold price at the moment, and putting your bets into Northam, which will be platinum, and this new platinum mine called
Boysendal, long term.
Pienaar giving us some good insights in there. And before that, you heard David Brown, his would-be partner. David, I'm not so sure that there is a game for you guys still, given what Pine said now.
No, I think I disagree with you, Alec. I mean, quite clearly from our point of view, I mean, it probably is a more attractive target in some respects because a lot of the excess assets have been cleaned up and it's a pure platinum play, which is something we're always interested in looking at.
Fascinating. Watch this space. Well, SAFM Market Update with MoneyWeb was brought to you by the